Take 3. Okay, my name's Paul Henwood. I came to Sarge in the end of 1979 and 1980, and we went from Tassie to Sydney and caught the first tour out of Sydney to India. And I travelled with all the old Sarge Yogis, about 12 of us at the time, I think. Bogdan was there, Sarah Franklin.
Can you share some Sarge projects you've been involved with around Shri Mataji and your role within those projects? Like, might go back to what's the first one you can remember?
No, I don't know. I mean, as me, there's no difference.
No.
There's no difference in painting up a house that we're renting to doing Shri Mataji's Kabbalah.
And tell us about Shudy Cancer, because that's a big project, isn't it?
Well, I'll give you my version of events. Well, to me it was just another in the roller coaster of things that Sarge were doing. Like, we'll just give it a coat of paint, but then there's rooms to be changed, and then you start pulling things apart, and then they realised the roof was all leaking and it was a mess, and then they wanted to get roof tilers, so somehow my name was brought up that I should go and help them. And I went over there and I started, and then you had to pull it all apart, and then I realised they needed a good roof tiler, so I got Robert involved and he came over. From when we got there, I think it was, I can't even remember but it was the rainy period, and the roof was to come off because everything's rotted. Sort of didn't seem to trust me, but they were all polite and good, and and the thing was, it was raining, and every day it rained, and how are we going to take a roof off a house that's existing and rebuild it? So I said, well, we'll just start at one end, and we just started. We had tarps there, and we stripped the roof off, put the tarp on, and we were going to batten it and rebuild it the next day. And it rained that night, and because you pull the tarp off the next morning, and that's how we expected to go through it. But after the first day, it never rained after that. And after the second section of the roof, we just didn't bother with the tarps, and we just went the whole project, and never rained until, and then, but the funny thing about it, they didn't have any roof tiles. So they're sourcing them everywhere, and they're always too dear or something. Anyway, I think they ended up getting these seconds tiles, which are only used on barns from somewhere in Europe, I'm not sure where, and they were weeks and weeks from being delivered. And I think at the time they hadn't even sourced them. That came later. But anyway, in the meantime, said, well, we can put some flat tin on, and we can. Anyway, Mother said that was a good idea, and she instantly said, go ahead and put tin on it. So we ordered all this flat galvanised 6x4 sheets of flat tin. Anyway, big truckload that came. Robert and I put it all on and battened over the top of it, and that was our. And when we got the last one on, a big storm came that blew all night and rained, and that was. And the postman came and said, oh, that's just amazing, Anyway, that was a lot of fun. But, that's okay. Sarge Yogis will say that's a miracle, and yes, could well be. There's lots of miracles happened all over the place. 3 months, yeah.
And how did you sort of feel about giving up your normal day-to-day activities back in
Didn't worry me at all. I'm always up for a bit of fun. My wife suffered from it though, Caroline. It was hard for her. She was pregnant with Daisy, and she was on the Central Coast. She didn't really know anyone, and that was I didn't really think of it that much. My thing was dedication to the project or whatever it was, and that was hard. And I coming in hindsight, I would have never done it that way. And because at the time I paid for my own travel, paid for my own food over there,
Did you have any interactions with Shri Mataji during those periods when you were over in Shudy?
Only on the telephone.
And what sort of things would she give you specific instructions, or would she talk to you?
Well, it was about the tin roof was one thing. It was about the toilets and showers and things, and how many you put in, which made them very tight, mind you, but we made them. And the other thing I remember, she said, she wanted one of the rooms to have one fireplace to do 2 rooms. So in other words, you could see through the fireplace to the 2 rooms. And she said, could that be done? And I said, yeah, that could be done, no problem. And in my mind it was, well, she knows asked to do that, but that's not my problem because I won't be here, so I don't care. So that was my attitude, yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Journey, I suppose, through the project in terms of the individuals involved and the collective experience that you can sort of relate in those times.
I think the English and the Europeans that came, they had a great time. As far as I can see, I don't know, because they never really interacted. Robert and I were a bit isolated.
Feel anything sort of happening there on a personal level or collective
for
level?
me personally, probably, I think it was the fact that I went into builder's mode, and the meditation was, it was okay. I mean, I don't think I really hit any great highs in meditation there. I think it was more about the food. The food's a funny thing. We get these little muesli kind of breakfasts, and and it's freezing cold, and you need a bit of body when you're working physically. And I said to Warren was in charge of everything, and I said, we need a bit more food, and breakfast, like just even morning tea, if we have, what about some eggs on toast or something, something with a bit of body, And the next thing, he'd given orders, and there were piles of eggs coming out and bacon and ridiculous amount of food, and I had to say, no, it's not what we want, and the poor people in the kitchen, he'd harass them, and there was that kind of drama which I didn't like, and it wasn't my making. I just wanted a nice egg and toast for breakfast and a bit of porridge, but we'd have muesli and cornflakes and fruit juice.
Can you share, what can you share about Shri Mataji's guidance in terms of building and architectural styles that were pleasing to her? And you might want to talk about the school, because I know you went up there for some time sort of to help out there.
I don't know that I can say much about that, because unfortunately that was more Yogi Mahajan's.
Yeah.
He was the one running it. A bit like Warren when he runs things. See, they think they know best. And Shri Mataji had sent these architects up there, and they were going to draw some plans and do something. But Yogi thought he knew best, so he basically pissed them off out of it, and he told me what he wanted. So I sat down and drew what he wanted, which was turrets and Indian style stuff and dormitories a certain side made out of certain materials, and so I did that. And in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. That's what I can say about that.
Okay.
And somehow he went to Cabela and got it approved by Mother. Shri Mataji approved that. And I don't know what was at play there, but that's all I can say about that.
Do you have any times where you were able to meditate on your role in this whole sort of scheme? And you touched on it there, but you sort of saw your role in these projects that Shri Mataji was working something out that might be beyond the project itself.
I totally agree with that, and I think for me, it was working things out in myself. And I think we all think we're going and we're going to do this grand vision of things and we're part of this thing. And we are, but our egos get in the way. And I think for me, it was an opportunity to express myself. And Dharamsala, or Tollnew, for me personally, that was, as far as Shudy camps go, that was a builder's project for me personally. For Tollnew and the school of Dharamsala, it was a personal thing, and it was so, I really loved it, because what I loved about it was the fact that our kids, especially Australian kids, and all the kids, they were getting out of that place in Washi, which was a horrible mosquito industrial area, polluted area, and to get them up in the mountains was like me going back to Flinders Island, and the clarity and the purity. And so it was a version of Flinders Island to me. It was that nature, the mountains, the ice, the snow, and what I remember about that is going on these walks up the mountains with the kids on the weekends, and crossing little creeks and rivers, and walking through the villages and all that. That was nature, and that's where, in my life, that's where the divine exists. It's and that's why I'm here, I guess. So. Building, again, it was just a building, that's all. But the collective of the kids there, the things they did, the concerts they put on each week, the living there in the little cowshed hut, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And that time, Caroline came with me. I didn't leave her home there. That was where we changed, and it was wonderful for her. And we loved it because we were together, and she became part of the teaching group, and being part of the aunties there with the kids. So that was a wonderful time.
When you mentioned change, what did you feel that sort of was on a personal level that might have changed during that sort of time that you were experiencing?
I think it reignited how I've always felt before I came to Sarge. And coming to Sarge, I think there was some wonderful highlights in it, but I got swamped by my own conditioning, and going to up there at Dharamsala, I was like reconnecting with my childhood, and that was the powerful experience, spiritual part of it, and Shri Mataji allowed that to happen, and that was really good.
During that one and the other projects you've been involved with, you sort of touched on before, where you've got sometimes a sort of a point at which decisions were made and then countermarted and then changed, and then you got other inputs, and then you got materials don't turn up, and almost like a slightly chaotic sort of mix of things. How did you come to reconcile and sort of just...
I could handle that easy. That was wonderful. I didn't mind that, and I learned a lot from the Indians. They can say, yes, yeah, that's okay, that's cool, and it might happen or it might not. They'll say this will happen, and I learned a lot. Sitting on the motorbike, at the back of a motorbike with a young one of Yogi Mahajan's workers, driving to Bangkok to look at some plastic sewage pipe, because they wanted to put all these old cast iron sewer pipes in everywhere. And I said, no, you can't do that. It has to be plastic, because otherwise it's just going to block up and it's going to be horrible like the rest of the old school was. So we drove for hours and we bought this incredibly expensive plastic plumbing fittings. Yeah, so I didn't mind the delay, so that didn't matter. I don't mind them at any time. If there's a delay, it means you can do something else, and that's always interesting.
Think about the sort of times you've had and all the collective involvement. Do you think there's sort of things that the next generation of yogis will take from the projects that have happened in the past to sort of contribute in the future?
Probably. I wouldn't know about that, but I think the yogis coming in and making and taking things from the past, they should look. We shouldn't be so paint the rosy picture all the time. We should paint the reality of what it is, and then people might evolve. We should take note of the dramas and the things that go wrong. We shouldn't obsess about them, but we should. I don't know. When I first came to Saj Yoga, and that first 6 months, year, 2 years, whatever it is, you listen to Shri Mataji's tapes, and you always take on all those little things that you're just trying to ratchet up your own existence, the way you interact with the world. All those beautiful things he would say, all those beautiful sayings that you know that, yeah, I've got that fault and I must improve on that. I mustn't react when somebody's dressing me down, or I must be more compassionate, or all the things. But yeah, so that's where I look at it.
All her blessings to the builders so they could be her instruments to do her work. How did you experience these blessings?
Express it that would make sense. All I could probably say at this point, I still probably don't know. Because since I've been away from Saj Yoga, it's allowed me to digest it all and see it in a much more clear way. I think sometimes you even say what's needed, whereas it's not the reality at all. So I don't know.
But you've had probably experiences where you feel her guiding hand or her attention on certain aspects of your life, perhaps not even involved with the projects, but sort of something related to it all.
Yeah, I think personally for me, Shri Mataji has taken a different form. And it's like, it's in everything. And so, yeah, I think I see Shri Mataji in the things I do and the people, and it's not necessarily even in Saj Yoga. It's in everything, and I think that's how I feel about it. So, yeah, that's probably all I can say about it.
Anything else you want to add to the long list of experiences?
I could say that I think although there's been some negative things, I think my overall experience is I'm very much better for it, very much. And without it, I would have been just a probably very confused thinking person stuck on an island in the Bass Strait or in Tassie doing something and not really appreciating life as I do now. And I think that's probably something. And all my people that I've had relationships with in Sahaj, I value those relationships very much, even though I don't speak to those people. They're often in my thoughts when I'm walking down along the coast or going to the beach to get some seawater for something to give my cows to drink, or planting my garlic. I often, it's just like this. It's like on your iPhones, you have your thing of their photos, and you look at them, they just flow through, and every time there's a different photograph there. And it's like that with people I've met in my life that I've had close connections. They just pop up there in my attention, Yeah, so like you, Rob.
Might finish on that note.
Yeah.
That's a nice bunch of reflections, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, that's... You know what? You asked me something, I forget what it was now, but it just reminded me that Shri Mataji's given me all this, because I can look at it on a physical level and see all these different bizarre circumstances that happened that allowed me to be here. But now I'm in paradise, and that really is it.